Hello everyone, welcome to Odd Commander, where we build the most unique decks that you can find at your Commander table. As I'm producing this video, we're right at the beginning of the spoiler season for the Avatar set. There are a whole bunch of neat new mechanics being showcased, especially among the unique Jumpstart commanders, and one of them just hooked me in immediately and I had to build it. Let's talk about Wan Shi Tong, All-Knowing. It's a legendary creature bird spirit that costs 3 and 2 blue. It has flying, it's a 4/4, and when it enters, target non-land permanent's owner puts it into their library second from the top or on the bottom. And whenever one or more cards are put into a library from anywhere, create 2 1/1 colorless spirit creature tokens with this token can't block or be blocked by non-spirit creatures. Wan Shi Tong has 2 cards revealed so far, and they're both really good, but I think this one shines as a unique commander due to it caring about putting cards into your library. No other commander to date has ever cared about such a thing, and there's a lot of flexibility in what this means. I wanted to explore the strategy and the different directions it could go, and hopefully build a deck that's interesting and fun to play, and highlights some of the strong suits of mono blue. So let's get started. Let's go over the different ways that we have of getting cards back in the library, or the general term and something easier to say is restocking. We restock by putting cards back into the library. And we get a benefit from putting our own cards into the library and other people's cards into their libraries. So let's look at the 3 categories that I have split these up into on how we can restock. Our first category is restocking from the battlefield. Our commander functions as one of these, and this category is going to contain kind of 2 flavors of these abilities. One is cards that restock other people's things, functioning as removal, and cards that restock our own things, functioning basically as token generators with our commander. For removal, we have cards like Commit to Memory, which one half does removal and the other half does a shuffling effect that also counts as restocking. Jailbreak Scheme, which doubles as a way to help us pump up our attacking creatures. Ominous Cemetery, which is just a great thing to have on a land. Submerge, which we can probably cast for free at most tables. Synchronized Eviction, because it's one of the more efficient versions of this effect, because most of them cost 4 or more, and that seems to be the standard mana value for this kind of removal spell. For cards that we want to put back ourselves, we have Gomazoa, which can potentially remove opponent's creatures too, along with Void Stalker and Vortex Elemental. Lembus, which also gives us card draw and life gain. And Sensei's Divining Top, which is everyone's favorite top deck engine. I know that this is an expensive card and it goes in a lot of really high power decks, but really this is just to get triggers off of our commander. There is some synergy that we'll talk about later though. Our second category is restocking from the graveyard. There are a large selection of cards that let us put on the top or bottom of our library from a graveyard. Bankform Harvester, Elixir, Perpetual Timepiece, Stream of Thought, and Transplant Theorist all have activated abilities that put cards from our graveyard back into our library. We also have Devious Cover-Up and Put Away, 2 counterspells that restock. Chrome Companion, Rhino Lantern, and Rhino Sentinel, which can restock from any graveyard. Screaming Swarm, which restocks itself from the graveyard. And Beacon of Tomorrows, which technically doesn't ever reach the graveyard, but restocks itself on cast nonetheless. The last category is restocking from our hand. This is cards like Brainstorm that let us put cards back on top of our deck. We have functional clones of Brainstorm's effect with Brain Surge and Cavalier of Gales, the latter also being a card that restocks itself after it dies. I also have Jace the Mind Sculptor in here, and this is the only deck I've ever put this iconic Planeswalker in, and solely it's just very good at the Brainstorm thing. His ultimate also triggers our commander, but honestly, we're probably never going to get there. Credit Voucher lets us restock any number of cards and draw that many again. Echo of Eons and Midnight Clock will shuffle our hand and graveyard into our library and let us draw again. Memory Lapse will put an opponent's spell back on top of their library. Scroll Rack lets us repeatedly swap cards from our hand on the top of the library. And Teferi's Puzzle Box forces a restock for every player on their turn. The last mention here is Library of Lang. It replaces all of our discards with a restock to the top of the library. It's a very good card to keep around. There's one more piece to mention here, which is the combos that we have that loop restocks. Ashnod's Altar and Nim Deathmantle make one of my favorite combos, allowing us to infinitely sacrifice and bring back a creature. If we do this with our commander, it's If we do this with our commander, its ability forces a restock and then gives us the fuel to sacrifice it again, which nets us a spirit or some mana. I like the inclusion of this in the deck because I feel like this is a very black combo, and seeing it in a mono blue deck gives me a lot of delight. It is not an infinite combo though, because we need fuel for the restocking in order for it to keep on going. We also have synergies with the multiverse, which lets us cast cards that we restock from the top of our library, which could potentially be infinite in the right circumstances. We don't have a way to cheat this out though, so this feels like a very fair inclusion as well. Since we are in blue and doing things with our library, I've included some strong draw support. This will help us get back the things that we've restocked, as well as just generally taking advantage of what mono blue does best. Wan Shi Tong makes spirits that are basically unblockable on restock, so we want to be swinging with those creatures a bunch. So cards like Reconnaissance Mission and Bident of Thassa turn our unblockable spirits into card draw. Kindred Discovery also helps us by rewarding us for getting a bunch of creatures out all at once. Arcane Denial gives us a counterspell with draw attached. Blue Sun Zenith is just one of the best draw spells in the game, but it also restocks itself. Dictative Crewfix, Gaio Reach Sanitarium, and Mikokoro Center of the Sea are all very good at enabling extra draw, and we don't mind giving our opponents more cards due to the removal in this deck, and we actually kind of want them to have more resources so that we can take them away. Fairy Mastermind gets us to draw cards for our opponents drawing cards, which works well with the previously mentioned cards. Lonely Sandbar and Remote Isle both have cycling abilities if we don't need them as lands. Prophetic Memory rewards us for card draw with +1/+1 counters. Teferi's Ageless Insight essentially doubles our card draw. Windfall is just a great wheel to help balance our hand if we're casting a bunch. And then last here are Body of Knowledge and Ormos Archive Keeper. Both draw us cards, and they're primarily the payoffs that we have for drawing a bunch of cards. Running out of cards in our library and having a large number of cards in our hand are very real possibilities in this deck. We've gone through the bulk of the deck, but let's talk about some other utility and synergy that we have. One of the strong synergies in blue and with this deck are for copying spells. Copying Wan Shi Tong is a great way to get an extra restock, and it doubles the tokens that we get since there are now 2 Wan Shi Tongs seeing the restock. Auton Soldier is my favorite here, removing Legendary and gaining Myriad, which adds up to 16 spirits every combat, assuming that we have at least 4 targets to restock and we're swinging with Auton Soldier. Machine God's Effigy is just one of the best clones in the game and can serve as ramp if it sticks around as well. Mirrorhulled Mimic's Backside will make a token of the enchanted creature every turn, and Moonlit Meditation will turn the first spirits that we make every turn into whatever it's enchanting. Last is Sublime Epiphany, which is mostly here for the copy and draw, but it has a couple of other things that we can do if we needed to. We basically just have our ramp package left, which is primarily mana rocks, but we also have High Tide, taking advantage of the fact that we have 30 islands in the deck for an explosive turn, and mana dorks that mill, like Milliken and Deranged Assistant, which give us fodder for the graveyard-focused restocking engines. This commander has turned out to be an awesome way to showcase a strategy that blue is pretty good at already, and utilizing the other best parts of blue, and I'm really happy with how the deck shaped up to be. I'm really excited to see what other fun and interesting commanders come out with the Avatar set. Which one is your favorite so far? Is there any that you'd like to see built? Let me know in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.